Welcome to the PLV Podcast, where we delve into the realms of consciousness, entrepreneurship, and technology to empower you with the knowledge and inspiration needed to unlock your true potential and create meaningful impact in your life and the world around you. And thank you to my epic AI called Apollo, which is helping to write that intro. Why, hello everybody, it's been a long time, and look, I'm here in video form. I had a request a long time ago to put this in video because some people did not like to listen to it only in audio. So fair enough, I will put it in audio and in video for you. So I have this video streaming, not streaming, but I'll be uploading it to my YouTube channel. And then just as before I fell off the wagon of podcasting, I'll have this once again on Spotify. It's going to be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's also going to be on Amazon Podcasts. And I think that's it for the moment. So we're just getting coverage everywhere. My goodness. So where have I been? We're at episode now 14. And I'm very embarrassed because I said, whether it was just, I think it was just 2 episodes ago, that I fell off the podcasting train and that I was back. And as in typical Pisces form, I fall off the train once again, not to blame it on my star sign or whether it's like a human design manifestor thing. But look, the reality is these things happen. Where have I been? So this podcast is going to be about that, where I've been, what's been happening, most importantly, where I am going, and what's the future of this podcast. So, yes, where have I been? Okay, there's been a lot of things happening. So first of all, I have relocated, and if you're watching this in video form, you can see that there is actually on the podcast, I didn't even have video. But if you were on my YouTube channel, you would have seen me dropping some videos just very sporadically. And that was when I was living in Sydney, and I had made the move over to Melbourne in Victoria, Australia. And it has been a breath of fresh air. It has been amazing. I came to visit Melbourne a number of times, and each time I would come to visit, the energy and just like the, just how it all feels has just been absolutely amazing. And I was like, wow, I really like Melbourne. Most importantly for me is really just around, how I feel somewhere. And every time I would come to Melbourne, it wasn't just the people in the city and, their amazing food culture and coffee culture. I also like to look at things like their infrastructure of their city and how it's all laid out in these lovely flat grids where I can get from point A to point B to point Z very easily. And in Sydney, that was not the case. I spent 18 years in Sydney, and don't get me wrong, I love Sydney. I love my friends in Sydney. I love my experiences that I had in Sydney. It just ended up not being for me. And it took me 18 years to realize that. But the intention for me early on was not to live in Sydney or really in Australia forever. When I first moved to Australia, it was only meant to be for a couple year stint. And then I'll probably go maybe into this story a bit later, if it's relevant in a future podcast. But 2 years ended up turning into ultimately 18 years because, I was just young, dumb at the time, didn't realize I was putting down all of these roots that turned into just strong foundations, strong relationships, friends, my beautiful dog Hugo, who I miss every single day. Building the business and colleagues, and really just made it difficult to be able to move around. It's gotten easier as technology has evolved, but I never felt stable, or I guess settled in Sydney. If you looked at my apartment, and my ex-partners could attest to this, where I would just not hang anything on the walls because I never felt that it was home. And so I didn't know why that was. I think it was just sort of like this unconscious sort of feeling that I wasn't home yet. I was still building, wanting to get to my next phase of really the ultimate goal was living bi-coastally between Australia and between the US back in Colorado. And it still didn't feel like Sydney was that place to really start putting down those roots. But when I went to visit Melbourne, I've only visited about 3 times before I actually moved here. And each one of those times, I just felt the vibe. I was like, yeah, this place feels good. And I wasn't quite sure where I would, I didn't actually know that I was going to end up in Melbourne indefinitely. But when I started to collaborate for my company Creatic, our digital marketing agency, and started to work with some of our partners, a number of them live out in Melbourne, and I would come out to visit them, and they're just like, Peter, you just need to move out here because it's closer. We can get our work done much more efficiently. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna actually really think about doing this. And then ultimately I did. And what sealed the deal for me really was not just the infrastructure, not just the people here, not just what it had to offer, but it really came down to my astrology and the energy that sealed the deal for me. So I look into something called astrocartography, and any of my friends that grew up with me would be like, what is he talking about? Like, he moved there for the astrology. But the colleagues that I circulate with now who understand energy, who understand quantum principles, they get it. And obviously this is nothing new. This is old technology, old types of modalities that have been around since ancient times. But when we look at it's what's called the ley lines of the planet. There are certain types of energetic lines that run through all around the globe, or all throughout the globe. And each person has their own astrological profile. And when you're able to synchronize or kind of synthesize the two, or I guess, merge them harmoniously, you can have a much more effective experience depending on what type of experience you're wanting to have. There's certain lines that you can move into for just cultivating romantic relationships, ones where you can move into to help enhance your personal profile, your career, family life, and so on. And it just so happened that Melbourne for me has some very beautiful lines related to me personally, through to colleagues, and in particular projects and contracts that we would co-create, and also financial reward, which is always great as well, because that helps us to expand our mission. So yes, I am in Melbourne now, but I've been away from podcasting for about 6 months, and it hasn't been all just planning to move to Melbourne. One of the last episodes that I left off with was just doing some discussions with my beautiful friend and soul sister, Jenny Nagy, who I'm gonna have back on this podcast. She was actually just here in Melbourne visiting me, and we had intentions of doing a podcast live together on video, and we were just so busy catching up on us two. And in fact, that's really where I've been putting my podcast time and energy leading up to now, which was getting to know Jenny even more, because it turned out that, wow, we have some really strong soul connections, and there's no type of I guess you would call it like a memory that I can tap into consciously, but there's definitely a feeling and a familiarity that's there. And we've done some incredible astral journeys since then. And I'm going to have Jenny back, and we're going to talk about those. And some of the most profound ones happened while she was here. And we took a trip up to, because I don't live right in the city of Melbourne, I live outside of it, which is it's just stunning. I'm going to go on and gush about Melbourne a bit more down in this episode. But we were staying in a hotel, and we had some awesome experiences at that time. At least I did. And that was confirmation for me for some more of these conversations that we had that I'm going to be filling you all in on when she's back, because she's had some profound experiences that she's told me about. And I was, I resonated with them, but they didn't sound familiar. I was like, I just trust her. I was like, okay, I trust you. It doesn't sound familiar to me, but okay. And then when I had my experience in the hotel, and she went, and I don't share hotel rooms with anybody, but I was like, let's share a hotel room. We had our own queen beds, and then I had my journey that evening, and that confirmed it for me, and I woke up to tell her about it, and she was like, oh my God. But definitely some soul family vibes there. And why am I telling you that? Why is this relevant to this podcast? Because as conscious entrepreneurs, I strongly feel that for me personally, I'm always going to follow the truth, and I'm always going to follow what is going to be the most efficient, the most effective, and the most strategic thing in order to deliver on my mission. And my mission has always been the same. It's about empowering conscious entrepreneurs so that they can share their gifts with the world. And when I started to astral travel, it was profound. And, I had to get used to doing it. And I still can't, marry the astral traveling aspect with my 3D existence, because astral traveling takes a lot of energy and a lot of prep work, and like your routine has to be on point, your diet, everything has to be just solid in order for you to have the most optimal experiences, and to be able to just hold that space while also growing a digital marketing agency in the 3D is it's a lot. But we now have AI. While I was gone, AI has had its grand ejaculation onto humanity. But just depending on whatever side of the aisle you sit on, I think that it's a fantastic thing as long as we leverage it and we use it and not let it use us, just like astral traveling. So AI systems have been helping me to just really structure things like this podcast now. So you're going to see a lot more consistency. I'm going to be putting a more conscious effort in delivering these podcasts more consistently. My goal is to do them every single week. I'm not going to commit to that just yet, because based on, my design or my astrology, whatever, just whether it's just obviously my own personal failures, I won't commit to that just yet, but I'm going to be working up to delivering these weekly, with the help of systems and AI. That is certainly going to help. But my point is that modalities such as astral traveling or such as astrology, these are massive leverage points for me as a conscious entrepreneur, because the possibilities of I'm getting some feedback in my microphone that I have on my headsets, because I don't have proper sound equipment as of yet, but the show must go on. I apologize for that. The potential for knowledge is infinite, and to be able to have the ability, which everybody does actually, to be able to astral travel and visit places like the Hall of Learning, which I'm going to be talking about. And Jenny introduced that to me, and I was able to go and visit for myself. And I'm just like, whoa, wow. And to be able to get knowledge there firsthand, and to be able to anchor it down and to use it for my own personal mission to help, foster the impact that we're making is just priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And so that's why I bring these types of modalities into my podcast. So that's where I have been. And now let's talk about where I am going. So, wow, yes, huge mission. So back at Creatic, which is my digital marketing agency for conscious entrepreneurs, we work with coaches, therapists, practitioners. I have had the utmost blessing of being able to woo my other beautiful soul sister, Jeannie Yu, as Creatic's new Chief Operating Officer. Thank you, universe, because operations, and you could probably guess this, is not my strong point at all. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a creator, I'm a founder. My strengths are in creating solutions and understanding the trajectory of where we're going and being able to create a product and a service out of that. But when it comes to actually putting that into operations and, the delivery I can do, but like on scale, man, that is a challenge. However, after I found my North Node in astrology, which I recommend everybody to do, I have been embracing the concept of systemization and found that I'm actually not bad at it at all. So I've been systemizing Creatic especially over the last, I'd say 2.5 years. We have our flagship product, which is called Amplify, and that helps us to deliver our digital marketing services to these conscious entrepreneurs. And we have our cohort, which I've been working on as well behind the scenes it's probably been the last year. And we're finally about to launch that. And I think if there was any other kind of advertising guru or, counterpart, they would have said, launch a long time ago. And, this is something that I've been working through a long time, which is just this bug called perfectionism. It's like a curse, which I really don't see any point in me trying to be perfect anyway, even though I always do, because it's just always a big mess anyway. And I better not put that out into the universe and create my own reality by that. So I will delete that, but that's what the situation has been. However, I've been learning a lot from that, and I'm excited that we're going to be launching Amplify Ascend finally this month. So this month is June. We're launching our beta, and it's coming in 3 flavors. We're only doing one at a time, and this first flavor is called Series 1 of Amplify Ascend, and I'm going to basically be working with the conscious entrepreneurs, professional service providers, coaches, therapists, practitioners who are early stage. So they're probably around, 2,000 a month in revenue. And, this is where I was with my business about 10 years ago. And to be honest, I haven't grown that much more. I mean, I should have grown a lot more than I have, but I think I've been putting a lot of effort into the research and the development based on, we have a 10-year, 20-year and beyond plan. But it's these early stage entrepreneurs that I want to empower, and also just be able to bring these types of systems, processes, and strategies over to them so that they can use that for their business to get to their six-figure mark. And we'll be doing that, I think, at least about 4 times per year. And then I'll be moving on to Series 2 and Series 3 as we venture on to some other initiatives as a company. And I'll be talking about those later on in the podcast. So this has been a very long introduction to this podcast, but actually no, we're kind of in the middle now. I wanted to spend this time and dedicate this podcast really to just catching up everybody, connecting once again, and letting you all know where I've been, what I've been doing, and telling you where we're going next. So first of all, before we move on, I want to talk about what's happening in the world at the moment. And I don't want to get too caught up in this because I used to do that a lot, which was focus on what I did not want to see in the world. And depending on where you are with your level of consciousness in regards to you creating your own reality, all the way through to us living in a simulation, in a hologram, however you want to frame it. I would just, call it advanced or out there or weird or niched or, whatever you want to call it. And so I can understand that a lot of individuals are still on their journey. So I don't want to talk too much about quantum simulation theory as of yet on this podcast, even though this is something that I am experimenting with and I'm researching and I'm having the most epic time doing, because a lot of my colleagues out here in Melbourne live by that, and it's been such a joy and such an awesome thing to be able to live and experience with. So I may do something separately, whether it's like, I'm thinking maybe even like a separate Instagram just to talk about what the experiments are that I'm doing with that. Because once again, one of my highest values is truth. And if the truth is that we do live in a hologram, which I'm 95% convinced that we are, then it's important. And I think that when we can integrate what is the truth into our businesses and into our lives, then we can have a pretty fantastic experience. So with that being said, I don't want to focus on what I don't want to see. However, sometimes things are just too obvious to not mention and to not talk about. So in this case, I'm talking about what's happening in the world with regards to this woke culture, quote unquote woke culture, which has really been using the gay community, the LGBT plus community, as its shield, which really infuriates me personally as a man of the LGBT community. I see it as one huge distraction that is, once again, taking attention away from an individual's consciousness, their self-development, their purpose, and understanding who they are, what they're doing in this world. More distractions to divide and to conquer, once again, more distractions in order to help keep individuals from being themselves and understanding their uniqueness, their authenticity, and being able to find that love about themselves so that they can then grow, evolve, make impact, and send those waves out into the world. So that's been on my mind in terms of just seeing how, as I gear up to prepare for my next part of my travel journey, because I'm only in Melbourne here for about, it's going to be another 4 months or so. I'm at temporary accommodation here. I'm going to be moving over to Colorado for about 6 months, where I'm going to be spending more time with my family, because we have some catching up to do as a family, and we have our own healing to do as a family as well. Some people in my family have not been well, and I have not been home since before the pandemic. It's been about 5 years. Um, and that's because I've been working on my mission. But as I prepare for my journey to go back home, as I observe what's happening, just through channels like Twitter, and granted, it's not. I'm sure that it's not happening 100% of the time. I mean, these are like sensationalized posts, but I can see on the ground that common places, like places that I used to love going before, like to 7-Eleven for my big gulp, and to Target for some shopping. These places are just really becoming run down in different parts of the U.S., particularly in places like California, where I used to live, San Francisco. From one of the videos that I've seen, looks so tragic and so heartbreaking. Literally, people on the streets shooting up, which you would have heard about in places in Southern California as well, but not to the extreme of where it is right now. I've never seen it like that, and so that's been troubling. Um, and when we have things like this divide and conquer type of tactics, like woke culture, um, this just drives even further wedges into the fabric of humanity, and we're unable to properly connect and evolve and heal and grow from our experience here. And so yeah, that's sort of what's happening in the world. From that's what my concern has been. And as we have just been quantum leap, as we've taken a quantum leap, I guess we can say, into this new chapter of AI, I can see that things are going to move at a much more rapid pace than we have ever seen before. If you look at the growth of technology and where we are now from where we used to be, let's just say 10 years ago, or even 20 years ago, just for some context, when I first moved to Australia, it was 2004. Britney Spears was at the top of her game. Facebook was such a new thing. The leaps and the bounds that we have grown since then, from social media through to the blockchain evolution and cryptocurrency, and just this next quantum leap into AI, has been massive already. Now, when we look at how fast things are moving now because of AI and this innovation that AI is bringing to help us streamline our operations, like I've been doing with it at Creatic, and to be able to optimize processes, not just from a business level, but even those of us who are using it and leveraging it personally. I think that the growth that we have seen from the blockchain era up until now, I think if that had taken about 10 years in context, we'll see that advancing every year with the help of AI, at least, possibly more. All right, so I'm just getting some more feedback into my ear. That's very distracting. I was losing my place. Okay, so Oh man, that totally knocked me out of flow, man. All right. Anyway, so my whole story was in regards to me going back home, and then yeah, that's my next step from here. And with regards to woke culture, what can we do about it? Well, what can we do about these types of things? So I'll go next into what I'm extremely excited about that I've been working on behind the scenes with collaborators, as I was mentioning here at while I'm here in Melbourne. And it's not just a local thing in Melbourne. This is actually a planetary collaboration between conscious entrepreneurs. Is we are launching our own community. So Creatic is a co-founder into a community that we're launching that is so epic that we had to name it Epic with a Q, EPIQ. We're essentially going to be disrupting. And you've heard about technologies that are disrupted. You've heard about industries like Airbnb that have disrupted hotel industries, or companies like Uber who has disrupted taxi industries, and Bitcoin, which has disrupted financial industries. Well, Epic, we are disrupting society. And I shouldn't really say that we're disrupting society. I would say more like we are working to enhance society. It's kind of like an overlay. So Epic is a community, and it's a collaborative community. This is a co-creative, cooperative collaboration, self-actualized super society. And that's a very long title. I mean, that's not the title, that's just what it is. Has many purposes, many uses, many advantages that I'll give you an overview now just so that you can get some context, because I think it's important for people to start hearing about it now. I feel like now is really the time to start talking about it. We've been incubating this for about we've been talking about it for about 2 years, and I think the serious work has been going into it for the last year or so. We were thinking about not really starting to actually build on it until a year or so, because as I mentioned, our collaborative partners, we practice quantum principles, and you'll hear from various people, hopefully, that your attention is everything. Your attention is the new oil. I think that's how Alex Hormozy, who has blown up online, explains it so eloquently, because it is. So I used to say that time is my number one asset. And then I realized, actually, time is not my number one asset. It's energy. Energy is my number one asset, because without energy, time is irrelevant. But it's energy, that's what I use in order to be able to manifest anything, to be able to wake up in the morning and to brush my teeth and go to the gym and come into Creatic and play and create. Without energy, there's nothing. But even before energy, there is your attention, because it's our attention that really directs the energy on where it's going. And so, I wouldn't really call that a resource, but our attention certainly is a certain type of utility. So why am I saying that? What is my point behind that? Currently, our attention is fragmented. As I was just talking about in relation to the woke culture attack, sort of like it's almost like World War III in a way. Not just woke culture, but the entire psychological warfare that's happening around the world. This divide and conquer these distractions, the COVID, these experimental injections, all of these different types of agendas are what keep people divided. They're what keep us as individuals confused, distracted, distorted, where our attention is never, well, I can't say never, but it's very difficult for the average person to be able to hold that attention for a long enough period where it can actually compound and create something, whether that's impact in our business, greater health for us personally, a more solid relationship. All of these take attention and energy and love and time to be able to cultivate, and to have any kind of meaningful outcome. So with EPIQ, we're addressing a number of problems. And if you've known me for any period of time, especially if you keep up with me on social media, on my Facebook or on Twitter, definitely on Instagram, you'll hear me talking about my feelings when it comes to these institutions like government, like media, like big tech, education, pharmaceuticals. When I went through my awakening in 2012, once I went through my research to see where these problems were coming from that were causing division, that were causing war, destitution, mental health issues in general, the first place, and I spoke about this on Down the Rabbit Hole number 1 or 2 on this podcast, the first place I went to was to the Catholic Church, because I grew up at the Catholic Church, and I had to reconcile why I was able to astral travel and astral project, but was never informed of these types of abilities that we all have by the Catholic Church. And so that confused me. So I needed to go do some research, and hence that opened up my eyes to see that, wow, we live in this public system that relies on sickness, poverty, lack, mental health issues in order for it to prosper, in order for there to be any kind of relevance for the pharmaceutical industry, which does not cure anything. It just treats side effects. It causes more side effects. It treats symptoms. It doesn't get to the root cause of anything. Same thing with education. There wasn't proper education. Government, and how, well, I can make a huge list about government, but my number one pet peeve with it is that it relies on an individual. Well, I can only speak for the governments that I've interacted with, and so that would be the US government and the Australian government, rely on the ignorance of the individuals that are born into it, that they are all citizens. Whereas there are actually two jurisdictions that exist, and that's the public and the private jurisdictions. And in my humble opinion, it should be up to an individual to have full informed consent that they are actually part of a public government system, so that they can decide whether they want to be or not. In any case, it sounds like a very big problem to solve, and it is, of course. Societies are a big thing to operate. However, and this is why I get so excited, because long ago in 1990, was it 1995, 1996, when the internet actually was given to the rest of humanity. It started off as a military project, I believe, with DARPA, and then was made I guess, quote unquote public. But as soon as that happened and we were switched on with the internet, I can't explain it, but there was something inside of me that just engaged and switched on. And I was like, yes, wow, there's something. I was like, wow, we're all connected now. And, I was only 16, 17 at the time. And I didn't know what that meant effectively, but all I knew was that things would be different. And all I could think about doing was going home to connect with other people from other parts of the world. And that's what I did. I skipped so much class so that I can log on to, was it America Online? I think it was before America Online. It was another service provider before America Online came along. And I would skip school so that I can be at home chatting to other random people from around the world, because I could, and this was, it's something that just fueled me and excited me. So why I bring that up is because there's something in me that feels that I incarnated at this time where humanity is going through this great technological evolution, where creating something as grand as a society is actually fucking possible. Because when I was thinking about these problems that I really did not like, obviously, and me being a problem solver, I go into meditation every single day, and I've only been doing that for the last, I guess, few years consistently. I think maybe the last 4 or 5 years, where I'm able to actually stay in meditation for 30 minutes a day, which was a challenge for me. I had to start at like 5 minutes. But it was one day when I was living in Sydney, and I think this was about 2 years ago, and before I started my day, after I got ready, I was going through my meditation, and really just sitting there bored, because I'm just like, when I was just starting to really get into it, like just before then, I was just like, what's meant to happen here? I was like, what am I doing? Like, I could really be a very impatient kind of guy. But something dropped through one day after the meditation, and it was this project, which we're calling EPIQ. The community is called EPIQ Society. We were already talking about this type of collaboration brand, but as far as how it came together, I wasn't sure of until this dropped through, and it was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, slapping me in the face, where it was like, duh, leverage the metaverse in order to create this venture. We have the metaverse technology there. We have the technology to create our own coin so that we can have bartering and exchange. We have DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, that can keep it all centralized and correct the problems of centralization that we experience with institutions like government, like banking, even decentralized education. And so being able to correct a lot of these issues that we experience just on a small scale, just with a like-minded community first, is so possible now because we have this technology, and that's what we're going to be doing with EPIQ. It is so fucking fun. We're making it a conscious brand. We're focusing primarily on technology science, and spirituality. And we're making sure that these three principles are in perpetual harmony and balance so that we don't lose our way as we have done before with past civilizations like Egypt, like they have found with Atlantis. If you follow the incredible work of conscious leaders like Greg Braden and Billy Carson, who I look up to so much, we now get a chance to be able to make sure that something like AI does not overtake us, because we have the principles of spirituality, that we're all here. We're not just humans, we're actually souls here having the experience to be able to create, and not being so ungrounded where we're just up in the sky like I used to be as a young light worker. And many light workers were, with these beautiful ideals of how humanity can be, but not being able to really just anchor it in. That's where the science comes in, and being able to bring that to fruition. So I'm extremely excited to be announcing on this podcast first the concept of Epic Society. I did attempt to launch a community back in the day. It was around 2012, and this was right when I was going through my awakening. I was, once again, very inexperienced with trying to launch a community at that time, and I got into a partnership with individuals that I should not have gotten into a partnership with, and I was very unsophisticated. I did not have a contract with these investors. They ended up wanting to pull the venture into a completely different direction on day one, which was trying to monetize it from day one, which I did not agree with when we had our initial meetings. Because the important thing about building community is we want to create relationships first, create value, and obviously there needs to be a financial aspect for there to be a return to investors. But the number of experiences that I have taken away from that first experience were so invaluable. The people that I was bringing on board were so heart-led. They were passionate about it. And it really broke my heart not being able to launch that. In fact, we never even got proper closure around that. And that's something that I will be doing. So all of the takeaways from that experience have been instrumental in making sure that we get Epic right from the very beginning, because this is a venture that is going to be very much anchored in practicality, pragmatism, sovereignty, and making it official. So it's necessary to have all of the foundations in place, starting with making sure that the team is truly on board, from values through to vision of where we're going and everything in between. So if you are interested in coming on as you'd basically be a foundation member of Epic, it's free, of course. You can go to we have a landing page that's up right now. You can go to EPIQ, EPIQ.1, EPIQ.one. That's on just open up your web browser, go to www.epiq.one, and then read about Epic. It's there's just a holding page there while we're getting everything ready. But there is a form that you can sign up to so that you can be one of the first ones to join it as an official foundation member. And then we do have some back channels operating right now, such as Epic Business on Facebook, our Facebook group there, which is once again, a collaborative, cooperative, just business Facebook group for conscious business owners. And then we have some other chat channels that are scattered around, also on Facebook, and then a couple on Telegram. And then we're going to be merging those with the official platform when that's ready. And so if these things speak to you, then feel free to join us on there. I think the number one exciting thing about Epic Society is going to be focused. This is a community that's focused on self-actualization. That's our unique selling proposition. There's tons of other, not tons, but there's a few other conscious social networks out there that are doing incredible work, like Jason at Unified, and they're bringing like incredible information and even healing technologies to the world. And then there's networks like Mind Valley, which is bringing incredible education out, which is new thought education out to the world as well, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I hope that we'll be able to partner with them. I mean, we're going to be approaching them because at Epic we're focusing on self-actualization, something that I've always been extremely passionate about, from just starting with my own self-development journey with my own first coaches, just getting to understand what my values are, what my vision is, what my mission is in life, and then being able to be in a society, in a community where other people understand what theirs are as well, being able to collaborate and cooperate and create solutions that we can actually host within the community for other people to be able to experience. And we have a few pathways that we're planning in order to help that growth for them, from helping individuals to understand, because basically we're going to be working to bring in the 99% into Epic Society. It's really for the rat race. And so a lot of us have really just blazed a trail, and there's so many incredible stories of individual triumphs for these collaborators and these solutions that they've created out of those, and just bringing them into just like a beautiful pathway of evolution. And there's going to be a few pathways in order to do that, based on the individual and who they are and where they're going, and then being able to just exist in a community where we're going to be able to democratize cryptocurrency for them, because it's such a freaking complicated space. It's overly technical, and I can see that. And we're going to be able to just bring technology and just simplify it for them in such an intuitive and elegant way. And one of the most important things around Epic in terms of our other purpose is collaboration and cooperation. And so, as our society, like our greater society, is fueled off of competition, and there's this massive amounts of noise on social media, people just screaming about their offers and their transformations, and it's just a big messy bowl of soup, in a way, I guess, to put it nicely. And to be able to have one collaborative brand where we're all actually cooperating and just creating experiences together, I think it's going to be so monumental, because the long-term plan is to be able to I can't say perfect, but get as perfect as we can as an operating system for Epic Society, where we can cookie cutter this and duplicate this for other community leaders. Maybe I'll be able to extend our technology to do that LGBT initiative that I was hoping to do some time ago, or to bring this type of operating system to another community leader who is about, the arts, or maybe there's some that are into farming, and there's various types of communities out there that could really use structure, systems. Decentralization is the most important thing to me, just so that we can avoid things such as what we're experiencing right now with, weaponization of governments, weaponization of healthcare and banking. And so being able to bring decentralized types of technologies and solutions is something that I'm very passionate about, and we're going to be able to do that with Epic. And so once we actually have multiple communities out there that are all, just aligned to their own purpose and missions, then we can start to collaborate as communities, collaborative communities, where we can finally, hopefully, get to activate this planetary resource-based system that has been talked about for such a long time by the Venus Project. I haven't seen where they're up to as of yet, but when I saw that documentary, The Venus Project, and the vision of Jacques Frasco, when I was just first having my awakening, I was absolutely inspired and blown away. And I'd never thought that we would be creating some sort of a solution to help to activate that, because something so grand as that type of a vision will take a massive amount of planetary cooperation, and everybody would have to play ball. But I mean, realistically, how could we actually do that when there's so much division, there's so much chaos? Well, I think by having societies and communities that are set up in ways where they're all harmonious, they're independent, they're sovereign, and they have the opportunity to plug in with each other and cooperate, that's going to be very much possible. And I feel that there's been divine guidance, maybe from Jacques himself, in order to guide it this way. I feel that. That may be the thing. That may be it. Okay, so from here, I think I will leave it off because I'm coming up to an hour already. And once again, I want to say my sincere apologies for being gone for so long. And now that I have these systems in place that I've been working on behind the scenes, and I'm empowered with AI, where I'm leveraging AI, I'm not letting AI leverage me. I think it would be much more realistic for me to be able to start to get regular podcasts out there once again. Can't guarantee they're going to be weekly as of yet, but that is going to be the goal. So I hope that you have enjoyed listening to what I've been up to, where I'm going. I hope you're excited about where we're going as a collective community. And I'm going to be interviewing a couple other individuals that I've been speaking to. Of course, I'm going to be bringing Jenny back ASAP. I'm going to be bringing on somebody by the name of Quantum Man, who is just phenomenal. And I think that one is going to be maybe an audio podcast that may not be on video, because there's a certain mission behind Quantum Man and what he's been working on. Oh man, I want to go into the story so badly, but I'm gonna leave it there. and I'm gonna leave you on the cliff with a cliffhanger to tune into the next one, because I will talk about some of these quantum experiences and quantum journeys that we've been going on together. A lot of what Quantum Man is working on is profoundly important to EPIQ, just like many of the plugin partners are. But it's there's a self-actualization program that has been developed by Quantum Man. I've helped out a little bit here and there, but he's certainly the brainchild of that. And in order for that to happen, he had to write a book, and it's taken a great labor of love for that to happen. And I'm so proud to be able to say that that book is complete, and that book is a cornerstone of the technology and the application that's going to help with the onboarding to EPIQ Society. And I will just leave that there, but I'll be bringing him on for not sure if it's going to be the next one, but in the very near future. So with that said, thanks so much for tuning in, and hope to catch you on the next one. Ciao. Bye.